Well, I'd like to thank everyone for being able to join us today. I know we're all busy. It's amazing how even with the COVID-19, we got the stay-at-home regulations, but time goes. And so I appreciate you spending the next hour with us. Just so you know, I have a presentation that's been prepared on the specific subject today. It's going to be about 45 minutes, and then we'll open it up for about 15 minutes of questions, answers, comments. Some of the things we're looking for too, if you want to keep that in mind, is I can go back to any particular slide on the PowerPoint. So if you have a pen and paper, please feel free to make notes of questions you want me to address at the end, or a slide in particular that maybe you wanted more explanation on. And by all means, we're always looking for future presentation subjects. So please, if something comes to mind that you would think would be a great idea for a new subject for one of our upcoming presentations, please make a note of it, and we will definitely take that into consideration. We're always looking for feedback, so I appreciate that. As far as best practices with Zoom, some of you are more familiar with Zoom than others, but the best experiences on Zoom are going to be on a PC or a laptop. And when you're on any device, please download the app. It's going to be the best experience. And some of the features you're going to need for later is electronically raising and lowering your hand. So if you move your mouse on your screen or swipe it with your finger up, down, or sideways, you can often, I see some of you are practicing with raising your hand and lowering your hand. I can lower your hand too from here. But when I have several hands go up on a subject, I might lower you all down, and then you might have to re-raise it if you still have a point to make. But that's one of the features that's very helpful. As well, under participants, if you put the participants, if you click on that, quite often you can change your name. And we find a lot of participants, we like to call you by name, and sometimes it just says cell phone or iPad. And you can put your name in there so that we address you more formally and don't offend anyone. Who wants to be called an iPad? But those are some of the basics. So if you want to keep that in mind, some of you I see are putting the location in your home, your new world. Which room are you in? So that's all good. So let me start the presentation, and then at the end we're going to go back. I'll stop screen sharing so that we can see everybody that's joined us today, and we can have an interactive discussion. So let's start by sharing the screen here. I'm going to do that right now, and give me your attention for the next 45 minutes or so. So first of all, who am I? My name is Gordie Guthrie. Everybody calls me Gordie. I'm a senior design consultant with Classic Home Improvements here in San Diego. We're one of the top design build contractors here. Myself personally, I've been in construction all my life, actually third generation, so built big custom homes or done wall-to-wall remodels. So lots of experience, but mostly it's who I know. Not what I know, but who I know. So I know a lot of people in the industry. We've got a great team. You know, some of the ones that benefit from this program, I've listed them here because if you're looking to get a home built, then you want to know about what way to find a good contractor. It can be very intimidating. So this is really a good place to start if you've got a project in mind. Remodeling any part of your home. Sometimes there's a second floor addition, which is pretty major, pretty intense, or another addition to your home. Other times it's just moving a wall. But garages, sometimes you want to create an ADU. That's the new auxiliary dwelling units or guest quarters that have a bunch of new changes to the building code, so we can help you with that. Looking for real estate fixer-uppers, you want to know about contractors when you're going to do that as well. Or you might be someone in the industry. Maybe you're a tradesman. Maybe you're a contractor. And this presentation is going to be very helpful because it'll remind you of some of the things you probably knew, but it'll be a good reminder on what we're trying to promote in the industry to really clean it up and get rid of the undesirable elements of the construction industry. Is what the whole industry is going to be better off, because right now there's several elements that are making it for a bad experience for the homeowners. So our reason for doing this presentation is really heartfelt. You know, we're in this industry, we eat, drink, breathe it, we're in it day and night, and we hear a lot of horror stories, and it makes us sick to hear the waste and the grief and the anxiety that people have been going through with picking the wrong contractor. So our desire is helping you by providing you with some of the basic information that's out there. And we want to help you succeed in finding the right contractor. So that's the motive behind this presentation. That's what makes it very popular. We've meant to do it at the Del Mar Home and Garden Show this weekend, but of course that's not proceeding because of the COVID-19. And so we're going to do it here electronically. Now, one of the associations, there's a few associations that you want to be acquainted with. One is NARI. If you haven't heard of it, it's here, I'll open up the website here for you. This is the National Association of Remodeling Industry, and remodeling done right. This is a very good advocate for best practices in the industry. So people want to join, well, they have to pre-qualify to join. They have to be certified and accredited to be able to join. And there's education in the NARI group that can help contractors be better contractors. And we really steel sharpens steel, and we really try and help each other as fellow members of the construction industry to get the best practices. If you are looking for a contractor, this is not the only place to go, but this is definitely one of the places to go. If you click into NARI, you can find your chapter, which is the San Diego chapter. And in the San Diego chapter, you can search for contractors. So it'll put you through to a contractor's website, and you can get to know which contractors are accredited. And that's an excellent place to go when you're wanting to find out which contractors are trustworthy. So National Association of the Remodeling Industry is very, very good. They have a booklet as well. At the trade shows, they hand them out for free with a lot of content that's going to help you with your contractor selection process. The other association, and perhaps the big brother of educations, your advocate and actually kind of somewhat of a police force in the industry, is the CSLB. This is the Contractor State License Board. And this is the mothership of control. So they're going to regulate the construction industry. They have policies that are in place and are mandatory policies that must be met by contractors large and small. They're going to promote health, safety, general welfare of the public in matters relating to construction. They actually control 42 different classifications. So you might be surprised to know on a big remodel or a big construction project, there can be as many as 42 different skilled tradesmen. So those 42 have been identified, categorized, and there are written tests specific to each one of those classifications to protect the construction industry from bad elements. So right now in the state of California, there's about 300,000 licensed contractors, and even the salesperson for the home improvement industry are registered. So they have to be registered by the CSLB. So you can check and make sure that they're trained to represent the industry and do things legally. They have about 400 employees in the state, and they work out of their headquarters in Sacramento, but there's field offices throughout the state. And some of those field offices actually have sting operations so that they can catch the unlicensed contractors. So here's their website. It's the Contractor State License Board website. And you can go into find a licensed contractor. If you click there, there's many ways to do it. You can look by categories and so on. One of the best ways is use their license number. So if you use their license number, you can pull up information which will tell you if their license status is up to date and current. If it's not active, that's a red flag. Also, you can look if they're classified as a B license or not. And then their bonding and insurance, workers' comp, and everything is going to be there to give you a real comfort zone, a real comfortable feeling about which contractor you've decided to work with. So that's going to really help in a big way I'm trying to make this go, there we go. So now we've got a better view. So the Contractor State License Board is going to help a lot. Something else that we want to share with you about the license board, the CSLB, is there's 3 general classifications. We have Class A, which this is the professional architect or general engineering contractor. So these are usually the civil work, the ones that are tying into the city utilities. often the homeowners are not having to work directly with a Class A contractor. The other category is the Class B. This is the general building contractor. Most remodeling homeowners are going to look for a general building contractor. So the B license holder can be a design build contractor as well. And we'll get into 6 different types of general building contractors that will help you categorize which one is best for you. But typically you're looking for a job that's got at least 2 unrelated building trades or building skills. So that would be, even on a small remodel, just moving a wall, you're talking 5, 6, or 7 trades involved. So it doesn't take long till the category really you're looking for is a B general building contractor. The other one, these are the specialty contractors. And as was mentioned, there's 42 different skilled trades out there. And these are all identified through the Contractor State License Board. And so here you're gonna find ones that hold a license, have been trained, have demonstrated years of experience and knowledge in the industry that's specific to their C license. And they will also be tested, rigorously tested, and have to pass the test for not only their skilled trade, but also accounting and business best practices, as well as legal requirements of a contractor. This is very good that the Contractor State License Board is helping make the industry better through these controls. So now we wanted to spend the next few minutes looking at the 6 different types of general contractors out there, seeing as that's what most homeowners are going to be looking for when they do a remodel. So the first one's an easy one. This is the one with all those red flags. You can see them, but we don't want to ignore them. And that's our message. Is it goes without saying, but don't be fooled and think, it's cheaper, or I can save a few bucks. Really understand the risks, because an unlicensed contractor is full of holes and there's a lot of risks involved. Here's some of them that are actually through our research. So this is available just by searching the subject. You can find this evidence online. Hiring an unlicensed contractor or uninsured contractor can place you at fault. So you could be held accountable for injuries, even with the unlicensed contractor at your house, which is scary. Excuse me. Because to think that some contractors could be setting you up. I mean, they could come on to do some work under a loose agreement and get injured, and you'd have to pay their compensation while they're not able to work. So that's scary. Unlicensed contractors can't get permits, so typically their work is not inspected. If it's not inspected, you don't know really if it's up to code, and you don't know if it's done in a safe way for the future. So you could be putting yourself and your family at risk with electrical, gas, plumbing issues. They could be very hazardous, so it's dangerous. An unlicensed contractor is typically not held accountable for any damages. Why? Because you can't catch them. They disappear. They usually don't have an entity or at least anything of great value so that you can go after it. And it falls back right on your shoulders. Anything they've done to damage your home or anything that was done incorrectly that has to be redone after you get rid of them, there's no real recourse. Hiring an unlicensed contractor could void your homeowner's insurance or your homeowner's warranty policy. So that's something to be considered. I'm sure your insurance company is going to want you to deal with a licensed contractor, as would the state. Hiring an unlicensed contractor may devalue your home as well. Your value goes down when you can't produce proper contracts for work that was done when someone looks to buy your home. So you want to have it done by a licensed contractor, and then you can prove that it was done by somebody legit. It's also interesting. It's against the law. So you're breaking the law when you hire an unlicensed contractor to perform any services above $500. And it's hard to imagine any remodel that is going to not exceed $500. So very little work can be done around your home that you don't have to have a licensed contractor on. That's against the law, so that's enforceable. And finally, unlicensed contractors deceitfully advertise a too good to be true price. They know what they're doing. They're saying what you want to hear, but behind the scene, they've cut corners. They know they're not maybe going to be able to complete the project, but they're looking at that first paycheck, and they'll say what you want to hear so that they can get that from you. So I think we all agree that the unlicensed contractor is not the way to go, but it's worth repeating because this is a message that we as an industry want to get out. I can't tell you how many times every year we get approached by people that made that mistake. A second big, general contractor that you can use for a project on your house is the big box contractors that offer installation services. And some of the advantages with the big box companies is they are convenient. They've got big stores, they're convenient. You don't have to wonder if their workers are licensed or insured because they do vet them and they do have pre-qualifications. So if you've got an installation service coming, you can rest assured that they have been vetted. If you need something last minute, like to go with a simple process, this might not be too bad for you. If you do go this way, it's kind of order on the fly over craftsmanship. They don't have the skills or the time invested to take a slow and gradual, methodical approach. It's usually, hurry up, we've got the next customer in line, and let's get this ordered or done and scheduled. So you don't get the same bedside manner as a design build contractor. But if you couldn't plan ahead for any reason, or you can't wait for high quality, they usually have basic selections that they utilize off the shelf for impulse purchases. Now, the issue that I've had with big box stores is they tend to dilute the way the product is built. They might have a brand name, but they are using a lesser quality, and sometimes it's replacing copper with plastic or other issues. So that is just an experience that you might want to watch for with getting materials from them. You want to make sure that it's the full contractor's quality that you want. So sometimes they charge for their quotes. You want to make sure you understand that ahead of time. And you may be dealing with a totally different company that comes to your home than you met at the store. So they use subs, and that'll be at their discretion. So don't be shocked to see a totally different random company come into your house. Errors are also common. I can't move on to the next category without saying that errors are very common with the big box companies. Customizing a remodel is very challenging because they do tend to have entry-level staff. So their experience doesn't cover what complicated projects. It's very difficult to imagine it not going with difficulty with the big box installation companies. The third category is the insurance type contractor. We know them in the industry as fire and water restoration companies. So these companies are quite different contractors. They can be very convenient, affordable, and they do line by line pricing. So they're very meticulous on the way they charge things, because that's the way the insurance companies require it. But they typically they stay with like for like scope. So if you're looking for an insurance contractor to help you, expect them to look at what you have and replace that exactly as it was. And it's not easy for them to accommodate high-end upgrades. We find that the insurance companies, that is usually their primary source of work, they have automated processes and billing systems that push these contractors to have to simplify everything they do in order to lower their costs and be able to afford to stay in business and work with these insurance companies. So, and finally, the most insurance contractors are business to business. They're used to working B2B, and most of them prefer not to work directly with homeowners. If they do, it's not that typical for them. So expect to have some unusual process that they will have with dealing with a homeowner, and rather than business to business. Now, the fourth type of general contractor is the architectural leadership. There's architects out there that are very capable of taking the lead on your remodeling project. And one thing's for sure, they can be very meticulous in their detail of their concepts, rendering, blueprints, and so on. They'll include considerations of your job, like sun exposure, the climate, so it's kind of regional climate, the site conditions, slope on one side, view on the other. What's specific about your site? Is there an area where you're not getting the compaction and other area you are, they'll take that all into consideration, including the breeze, so they can design in walls to prevent strong winds, privacy, and even they get into the soft designs like the textures, materials, and colors. So very good to work with these architectural leads. They are a professional companion. And in particular, I underlined this, that if there is no budget limitation, then this may be for you, because I have it almost on a monthly basis. We have customers that come to us that have already engaged with an architect, and it's not unusual for them to have spent $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 on the primary design, and they're already up to $13,000, $14,000, because it falls back once they use up that first go around. They're going to be using up an hourly rate. They don't often, tell you how much it's adding up to, and it just keeps racking up the rate. So it's not unusual for this way to go to be very expensive, but they can accommodate very unique, peculiar designs with an intimate process to incorporate the human elements, your lifestyle, your walking paths, your patterns, the proportions and scales of the windows, the walls, the doors, making everything really suit a style that you're looking for. It often requires redesign though. What we found, and this is not unusual, that's why we put it in here. When we get the blueprints from an architect, we often, as the builder contractor, we find that we have to redesign a lot of the design, because there's certain value engineering that we have to do to hit budget limitations. So once again, it falls back. If there's no budget limitation, we can run with those blueprints as drawn. But usually most often customers have some limit to their budget. And so we want to help with that as we get the architectural design from the architect. This is one example. You can see, this is just one page, but I mean, there's so many details that are considered. Where the sun's setting, where the sun rises, north, south, the living space, outdoor living space, the conversation areas, how that works for lighting, every detail is going to be worked out. And design build contractors can help with that as well. It's typically more affordable to do it that way, as you'll see. But this fifth way to go for a general contractor for your remodeling project is this small general contractor. Now, this typically is good if you as a homeowner have knowledge and experience and you're not in a rush, then this might be good for you. Now, we already discussed the unlicensed contractor who will be a little bit even cheaper than the small general contractors who's licensed. But even the small general contractors who's licensed, there is a bit of a risk of the unknown. Because they're small and they're not doing the same thing every day, build, repeat, they could have unknowns in their scheduling. They likely do not have their full skilled trades force in hand. So there's going to be some change-ups in their subcontractors. And this is a bit of a red flag, because when you have to find a subcontractor that's available for your project and you don't have them already, you wonder, why are they looking for work and available? That could be a question. There's also finger pointing quite often between the trades. On a small contractor, issues might pop up between the trades. Who's going to do that? Who did this? Who didn't do it properly for the next guy? And so there's a little bit of help that he might need in coordinating that. Proper safety procedures are very, very important, well, especially now with COVID-19, but proper safety procedures are always important. We have mandatory tailgate safety meetings regularly that have to be done according to the Contractor State License Board. But we find that some of the smaller contractors just take too much for granted. They leave a little too much for chance. And you want as the homeowner, make sure that he's taking care of all the safety best practices. Workers' comp, liability insurance coverage. You want to make sure that he shows you that it's current and active. You can check online with the CSLB as well. And also watch for consistency of quality. So they might start off really good in some area that they're extremely good at, but then another area they're kind of learning on the job. You're going to have to watch for that. So you might also need to help them. We find some homeowners have told me that they had to run around at the last minute and go shop for things that were forgotten, plumbing fixtures, electrical fixtures, other supplies to help the small contractors. So The good news is, I mean, the good news is if you do have a friend or a relative who needs the work, you know, it's humanitarian to want to help them out. It's natural that we want to do what we can to help them. But we wanted to highlight some of the risks so that if you do go forward with a friend or a relative or someone you know that's a small contractor, be prepared because it might require a lot of your time and expertise to foresee things, look ahead, and also coordinate a little bit of firefighting, last minute solutions. So that's the small general contractor, and San Diego has a lot of them. There's a lot of those types of contractors. Fewer contractors by number, but bigger in volume of work being done is going to be your design build contractor. This is the sixth type of general contractor that we have identified here. And we're a big fan of the design build contractor. They seem to have the best of both worlds. They can be very accommodating. They've been at, you want to make sure they've been at it a long time. They've have proven methods. They're usually have a great bedside manner, eager to customize your vision. And they're also very budget sensitive because they know they don't get to build it unless they can create the design to fit your budget. So a lot of us use Buildertrend or other project management software. This is very important. If you want a predictably good outcome, predictably on time, Buildertrend and other project management software is very, very important to help design build contractors get your project done right. And it also is a great communication tool because these software programs have apps that can go into your phone. So you can communicate with your construction team with the click of a button anywhere you've got your cell phone and get instant communication. We also download pictures on a regular basis, usually daily when the project's underway. So you can comment on grout lines or what's being removed and other details of your project specifically, and you'll get a response back quite conveniently. Design build contractors are accommodating. They act as a real partner in your project, but they're bringing an extensive wisdom to the project. So wisdom is knowledge and experience, even mistakes, but they've been applied to future projects. So they're not making the same mistakes they made 15 years ago. They're not making those over again. They've learned by that. So they're bringing all that wisdom to your project, and that's important. They listen to priorities and wish lists. They address your concerns anytime, and they understand the best processes that are available, and they're going to implement them on your behalf. They're accountable too. When you deal with a design build contractor, there's no finger pointing. There's only one chest to push, and this goes not just through the design process into the construction process, but years later, if something scrapes or rips or tears or leaks or falls off, you've got one call to make. And that's what's so nice about a design build contractor, that they'll be there for you, one phone call, and you're going to get the warranty service you need. They're professional as well. Their skilled tradespeople are pre-qualified. And when we think about proven staff, I know a lot of the best contractors in San Diego, and there's, let's put it as the top 10 contractors, design build contractors in San Diego, they have a similar viewpoint to the staff. And you can't tell whether it's one of their employees or one of their subcontractors. They're all looked at the same way. And that is basically a minimum 10,000 hour experience level. That's a really thorough apprenticeship of about 4 or 5 years minimum. And so when they pre-qualify them, that's the kind of thing they're looking for. And then they look at using them in their lane, and they try and keep their skilled tradespeople in their lane because they are vetted for that specific skill. So you won't see their drywaller trying to patch stucco or their painter trying to lay tile. Everyone will stay in their lane, and that's really important. It's also important because these design build contractors, going back to the warranty, they want to use the best materials and the best skilled tradesmen because of that long-term warranty. They're not looking at you as the homeowner looking for your first check. They're looking at the 10-year plan and beyond, and making sure that what they use and their best practices and materials are going to be something easy to warranty, because that's the long-term view of the design build contractors. And we're also competitive. We have to be to do the volume. The design build contractors are doing the bulk of the volume out in San Diego remodeling, and we have volume advantages that we bring to the table. We have to be competitive, and we also, because we're so well organized and experienced, we don't have to do things twice. So it's highly unlikely any of those 10 top contractors, design build contractors, are going to be asked to be replaced, or hey, I don't need you anymore, I'm going to find somebody better. Usually they're going to be the best choice. They're going to finish what they started, and that's going to prevent from any duplication or undoing work that's been already bought and paid for. So some of the questions, our research is showing some of the best questions that are out there. When you're looking for your general contractor specifically, what kind of things can you ask them? Well, these are the top 9 questions that we found. Is that what is the structure of your company? So understand how their company operates. Do you have access to the person in charge, the owner? Is he there every day? Is he hands-on? Is he going to be aware of your project? Do they have a specific project manager dedicated to your job? So what's the structure of their company? And who do you talk to about what? And they should have an organization platform that they're able to answer those questions. Do you have prior experience for this type of work? Now, this is very important. Research has shown that some contractors will fall into one type of work, but they're not very good at another. Like some people might be very good at Sundex, but then you ask them to remove a wall at the kitchen, and they might not understand that removing a wall in the kitchen is not just what you see. It's not, oh, I need a post and beams, or a beam and post, sorry. But they might not understand, I need to fortify the foundation and footings to support that weight. So there's skill sets for different types of projects. So try and find a contractor that has the specific experience so they're not learning on the job on your house. So you want to also know, how do they manage scheduling? You know, being a good scheduler is going to be very important to having a predictably good job, predictably on time. Can they give you a timeline? This is important as well. It might need more scope of work understanding before they can give you a timeline, but everyone should be able to give you a timeline so that they're not leaving it up in the air. I've talked to some customers that a 6-month project has taken them 2 years, and that was probably identifiable early on by finding out if this contractor was going to dedicate their team to their project or not. Who will be my contact person during the project? You need to have one dedicated person every day. And so that's important, that it's not just, well, it could be the receptionist or someone random. You want to have someone specific, and they should be well-versed in construction with that skill set needed for a good project management. And daily supervision, that's part of that as well. How to settle disputes, that could be understood. Quite often, good contractors will use mediation, and there's industry experts that can help with any disputes along the way, but there should be something discussed. How much am I supposed to put down? I ran into one the other day that put 50% down, and of course the contractor disappeared. So there's laws that prevent that you should not be putting any more than 10% of the project up to a maximum of $1,000 down on a construction project. So we can help with that. There's also help and understanding on the Contractor State License Board website. So the other thing finally is, can we put what we just discussed in writing? So you don't want to leave it too loose. Get it in an email, get it in writing so that you're keeping track of what's been said, what commitments have been made, so that there's no misunderstanding and you can get clarity. So how important is it, this subject that we have today about finding a good contractor, how important is it? Well, our research shows that throughout the nation, there are industry-leading people who have contributed their thoughts publicly on the subject. Why? Because people are being ripped off. People are having bad experiences, and the industry needs to clean up. And so this is a little bit of research I did. I think I found about 23 different industry leaders that commented on different things that you need to watch for if you're looking for a good contractor. And notice here, good reviews. Very important to find good reviews. If they don't have a lot of reviews, that's another red flag. They might be learning on the job. So In this day and age of social media, you can run, but you can't hide. So there will be some bad news on everybody, but you should find a contractor that's dominated with good reviews and lots of good reviews. And then you'll know that they have the experience that you deserve. Another one, overcommit. If they overpromise, you can expect they're going to underdeliver. So look for someone that speaks realistically. The experience, we kind of talked about that. If they lack the necessary experience specific to your project, that's a concern. You know, this disappearing act, we see that a lot. There's reasons why people start a job and disappear. Usually they'll start the job to get the first paycheck and then they disappear because they might be using your money to finish another job or other issues that are common. So this is a red flag. You know, watch for that. Deal with it immediately. It's not good to make excuses and keep them around any longer. You want to get some help and get them dealt with. Their rates are significantly lower than others. This is another red flag. A lot of people are already aware of that because of other industries. The low price leader is often, there's a reason, and that would be a concern. Don't get the right permits, we already covered. Written agreements, of course, that's very important. References, project samples. You know, a lot of, you know, the top 10 design build contractors in San Diego have excellent resources on their website. Pages and pages, sometimes 1,000 pages of references, referrals, project samples, before and after pictures. So that's something you want to look for. We talked about promises. You know, poor habits. If they've got poor habits, they're not good. I think it's covered down here, not good communicators, or if they're late for meetings. These red flags, I mean, it's a telltale sign of their habits. So unless there's a very good reason, they shouldn't be late for meetings or bad communicators and so on. So watch for price creeping up. There's also scope creeping up as well. So if you're changing the scope of work, of course, it will affect the price. But sometimes they're not changing the scope of work, but the price keeps going up. I've heard of stories where projects were half done, the project's been 75% paid, and the contractor said he needs another 50% to complete. So that's quite a difficult situation you want to avoid by dealing with one of the better contractors you can help. You can spare yourself that. And watch for those excuses. They should answer your questions very deliberately. Their license, don't even wait for their copy of the license. Go ahead and check on Contractor State License Board to be able to make sure that they're insured, bonded, and licensed. And difficult to reach, we kind of discussed that. If they don't commit to a project and they're just kind of vague and ambiguous without giving you start dates and so on, that's an issue. And they should have a passion for what they're doing, specifically your job. They should have a passion. You should feel like they really want to do this project and they share in your vision. That'll show that they're vested. They bought into the idea and they're emotionally attached to your job too and want to make that happen. So watch the deadlines. This is another one. We've covered it, but we can't stress that enough. Communicate. And not just phone calls, emails, paper trails, not just verbally. Watch for those huge deposits and so on. So, you know, bottom line is we want to help the industry clean up. We're interested in promoting best practices. And one of the subjects that came up, because we run into it all the time, is finding the right contractor, someone that's legit. So we want to help you do that. It can be a challenge, but it is important to work with a good and credible contractor to ensure that your investment, your real estate project, so often that's the biggest investment the family has. And you want to make sure that remodel is successful in every way. So be mindful of all the red flags that we've kind of touched on today of what a bad contractor would be, and make sure to stay away from them. As soon as you notice one of these warning signs, don't ignore that, but you know, look for, this is some of the variety of work. I mean, you'll find contractors that have before and after pictures that'll show you their history and the kind of things that they can do. This is one of my favorites, an old garage. This is actually a heritage building, so we had to stick with the same colors and so on. But there's no shortage of before and after pictures of what they can do inside, outside remodeling. So Who are you going to contact? When you have a remodel project, who are you going to tell your family, your friends to contact? Well, the best one, if you're going to have the right references, the right resources, committed timelines, the bandwidth or the team that you need, and bring real value at the end of the day, then the design build contractor is going to be your best choice. So thanks. That's my presentation. I'm going to go to a shared screen in case you have any questions or comments. Feel free as well. You can text me at this phone number here, 760-522-9038. You're welcome to text me there. I can be reached most days, and my email address, and I'm definitely here to help. So if I stop sharing here, we're going to go to the full view. And I can unmute you if I get onto unmute all. So you should all be unmuted if you wish to unmute and you want to participate at all. I see we have a few there. We have any reactions. If you also feel better if you do it offline instead of video conferencing, please feel free. You can do that by texting me, and I can talk to you one-on-one. If you have any ideas, if you missed the beginning, if you have any ideas about seminars or presentations on other subjects, please let me know. I would love to hear any suggestions about future presentations that we can help you with. So, oh, Karen. Karen just had a question. Can we get a copy of this? Let me talk to you about that offline. You've got my email address, I hope. If not, I can type it over to you right now. And I'd be happy to talk to you about how you can get a copy of this. Of course, it also depends on your reason. Why do you want a copy of this? Is it for your own use? And it is copyright, so be happy to help. And anything else on your mind? You're welcome to text message like you just did. Okay, nope, thank you. Okay, well, looks like everybody's good. I hope it was helpful. This is available in the industry. Maybe you've heard it before, but these reminders are very important. You know, if it's important, we need good reminders to make sure that we clean up the industry, make it more dependable, and ultimately make the homeowners happier at the end of the day is what we're trying to get to. So thank you for your time and attention. Please let me know if there's anything else I can do to help you. In the meantime, we'll make sure we blast out through social media our next presentation. Thank you.